Your readers may be familiar with Tide Pods. Tide, owned by Procter & Gamble, made them to go in the laundry to make doing laundry faster and easier. The notion was, rather than having to put in detergent, you just drop one of these little pods in. You don't have to measure anything. You don't have to get your hands sticky. It can even release different types of the parts of detergent at different times in the wash, so it's very helpful. Put $100 million in marketing behind it and thought it could take a big chunk of the over $1 billion laundry industry. Tide Pods come out. They do okay, but they don't do great. Then there's actually a problem, which is that people are eating them. So, and you might say, well, aren't they made of chemicals? Why are people eating them? Indeed, they are made of a lot of chemicals, but there was a funny video online, and then there was a funny article in a major publication, and soon, mostly young people, teenagers, were challenging one another to eat these things online. And so imagine you're a Tide executive in this situation. You think it's ridiculous people are doing this, but just in case, you release a sternly worded announcement saying, don't eat Tide Pods. And in case that's not enough, you hire celebrities to tell people not to eat Tide Pods. You post these online. You think this will be the end of it. People will stop eating Tide Pods. And that's the exact opposite of what happened. When Tide tells people not to eat Tide Pods, interest in the Tide Pod Challenge shoots up. Visits to poison control shoot up as well. Essentially, a warning became a recommendation. Telling people not to eat Tide Pods made them more likely to do it. And the reason is reactants, right? That when we push people, they don't just go along, they push back. They say, who are you to tell me what to do? I do whatever I want, and rather than doing what you want, I'm going to do the opposite. Whether that opposite is eating Tide Pods when someone tells you not to, whether that opposite is someone encourages you to buy something and so you do the exact opposite and don't buy it. What we really have to do is we have to give people their sense of freedom and autonomy back. We have to allow them to make choices. We have to not persuade them, but encourage them to persuade themselves, not sell them, but get them to buy in. And I talk about various ways to do this, from providing a menu and giving people choices, to asking rather than telling, to highlighting a gap. But just to give an example of a simple one, you're in a meeting. We often present one option. When we present one option, people counter-argue. They say, "Oh, this is why it won't work. This is why it's a bad idea." So what smart salespeople and consultants do is they give people multiple options. We could do this or that. Which do you like better? Because it subtly shifts the role of the listener. Rather than sitting there and thinking about all the reasons they don't like what you're suggesting, instead they think about which of the options is a better fit for them, which makes them much more likely to pick one of the ones that we suggested.